Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Gripe, the show for short, sweet reviews of new release movies, plus the one thing that annoyed me the most. And today I'm going to be talking about The Jungle Book, Disney's latest adaptation of a childhood cartoon that we all loved so much and didn't imagine we would need another live action. Remember, this is not the first live action remake, it's actually the second, at least. But either way, we're going to talk about it. It's directed by Jon Favreau, who did a little movie called Iron Man. Um, so it you knew that he was going to put some heart and soul into this one, and he certainly did. But I'm going to get to that. So, what is the Jungle Book, and really how is it much different from the animated film from the 1960s or 70s? Um, so really the basic premise is pretty much the same based on Rudyard Kipling's book about a boy who is, abandoned in the jungles of India and is, basically taken in by wolves who raise him as one of their own. And then once he reaches a certain age, they decide that it's not safe for him to be in the jungle anymore because the tiger, who hates man, basically wants to kill him, so they want to get him to the man village as soon as possible so that the tiger doesn't kill him. So in this movie, though, pretty much same basic plot, but the motivation is a little bit different. So, there's this, big drought, and, the animals all come together kind of, in this time of peace. When they do that, the tiger Shere Khan basically says, when this peace is over, I'm coming for the boy, basically. I'm coming for this. So the wolves basically decide, well, we need to get this, we need to get the boy to the man village, basically, defying the tiger, really. And, they decide not to, they don't want to necessarily hand him over to the tiger, obviously, or take him back to the man village. But in this story, Mowgli decides basically on his own to just leave because he doesn't want anybody to get hurt. He basically treats the wolves like family, and the little wolf is adorable. But beside the point, he decides to leave and go off on his own. And when he does that, he gets some help from Bagheera as the tiger is on his tail, um, and then he ends up kind of breaking off on his own. And when he does that, he encounters the snake. Of course he would. He encounters the bear. Of course he would. He encounters the giant orangutan, because of course he would. And yeah, ultimately it comes down to a confrontation between him and Shere Khan the tiger. So realistically, not too different from, in story from the original Jungle Book, so there's really no surprises there. They did change some things around, which I actually did enjoy. Kind of in the original, Shere Khan was kind of this just like, he's out there, he's a villain, he's trying to kill Mowgli, but you didn't really get a lot of Shere Khan until the end of the story, which is unfortunate because, the voice acting back in, the original cartoon was so good. But I liked how they basically took Shere Khan and made him much more of an antagonist and a very kind of like darkly altruistic kind of villain too, which was one of those. It's really a challenge when you have a villain who actually has somewhat of a point, and he obviously still, though, his ultimate goal is going to end in the murder of a beloved person. So and he actually murders somebody else in the story. I'm not going to give away any spoilers in this one. So he's certainly a vicious character, and he's voiced by Idris Elba, which, this is the second movie where he's voiced an animal in the last 3 months. But I'm not gonna lie, he's done a pretty good. He does a good job. He has a very raspy, commanding voice too, so it's really not hard to listen to that guy at all, ever. Other voice acting, Bill Murray plays Baloo, which just kind of, it fits having, this sort of, laid back bear be Bill Murray. Kind of makes sense, kind of fits. Ben Kingsley does the voice of Bagheera, and he always has that, very, you know, very professional, very, like, kingly type of, voice. I mean, it's Gandhi, for crying out loud. But um, definitely did a good, I mean, the voice cast is very good. Christopher Walken playing King Louis, that one is kind of, um, I'll get to that. But Scarlett Johansson does the voice of Ka. Um, the So I mean, so there's a lot of good voice acting in this film, um, which certainly makes it entertaining. I mean, on the level, it's supposed to be a family movie, so it's not meant to be super complicated, um, and but that's not actually what makes it good. Like, to be perfectly honest, I was not overly impressed with the story. I mean, it was basically the Jungle Book, but I mean, they made some changes that I thought were okay, but it was kind of more pandering to, the family side of things, which is fine, but it didn't really, I wasn't all that excited about that. But one of the things that I absolutely loved, a decision they made, was with the elephants. So in the cartoon, the elephants, are this sort of symbol of, British imperialism. They were the military, that you get like the colonel, you've got all his, basically subordinates following him, marching through the jungle. It was very, very imperialistic in a way, which, I mean, when you read the Jungle Book, I mean, the Jungle Book is, really touches on British imperialism in a lot of ways. So it kind of fit to have that sort of character. In this movie, the elephants don't talk. Like, pretty much every other animal talks except for the elephants. And the elephants are actually revered in a way. It's like, the elephants are, they really are the kings, not really the kings maybe, but they are the saviors of the jungle. They are the ones who protect the jungle. So, at the end, when there's a fire, it's the elephants who kind of come through and save the jungle from complete destruction. But they don't speak, but they're very, like, very profound in a way. And I thought they did a really good job with, bringing, because let's face it, the elephants in the cartoon were goofy, and they were, could have very well pulled this movie down if they had gone that route, but instead they held the elephants up on this pedestal, which I thought actually worked out really well. So I was very impressed with that. Overall, though, the visuals of this movie are stunning. Jon Favreau has proven to be an entertaining director, and he's done a lot with, great visual effects. I mean, the Iron Man movies, pretty good visual effects in those movies. He obviously put some detail into it, but here he took a lot of time to make this movie look as just absolutely gorgeous as he could. And I don't mean like in the same sense of a movie like Life of Pi that is just so, colorful and, gorgeous in that way, but it definitely was just sharp and lush and full, and there's just so much to it that, visually speaking, it's just mind-blowing how good the visuals are in this movie. And even when the animals are talking, there are times where you really know, yes, this is animation, but then there's times where the animals are talking where it just seems like that's kind of what they would, if they were talking, that's kind of how they would look. So it's that fine line of, making it too goofy looking. It's not like the same animation that you'd get in like one of these, silly Yogi Bear type movies. It's definitely the animation is sparkling. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous animation. So I got to give a lot of credit to Jon Favreau and his team for putting that together. The rest of it, I mean, it's entertaining, it's fun, it's, cute, and it has, it's exciting in a lot of ways. The voice acting is great, but I wouldn't say that, overall it's, a stunning, really like, something that's super memorable other than, just how visually impressive this film is. Which is unfortunate because I had a lot of hope for this one versus some of the other Disney adaptations that we've seen recently. You've got Alice in Wonderland, which was a train wreck. I hated that movie. You had the Maleficent, which I enjoyed as a movie, but I was a little bit sad with the direction they went because Maleficent is always one of those great villains. And I understand trying to humanize villains, but they completely did a 180 on her character, and in the end, she becomes a hero. So, spoiler alert. But so that one was kind of iffy. And then you have Cinderella, which again, very beautiful, colorful movie. Pretty well done. I enjoyed that one, but ultimately at the end of it, it's like it's pretty much just a good, entertaining thing. So I mean, of these animated movie remakes that they've been doing, Jungle Book is probably the best that they've done. But that best is really because of just how visually impressive and how sharp it is, how good the voice acting is. And it is exciting. It is a exciting movie, but it's also a short movie. It might be hour and 45 minutes or something, but it spends so much time on the exposition that by the time you get to really the action of the movie, it ends very abruptly. Which again, it's a family movie, so I can't necessarily fault it too much for that. But it is one of those things where it's like they could have developed certain things better. It's not my key gripe, but the whole King Louis thing, when they get into that situation, the monkey, the apes, and monkeys, all them, they show up, they snatch Mowgli away and take him to King Louis. That whole scene, it's so just thrown in there almost. It's like, and I know in the cartoon it was kind of too, but the cartoon is also zany like that. I mean, it's kind of silly. So here I just felt kind of rushed and thrown in there at the end. It's like, what, where did this come from? And especially because it's King Louis is introduced, and then almost immediately after that, the incident with King Louis, then everything it comes to its conclusion basically. So it seems like they threw that in there just to get that in there. And Christopher Walken, who does the voice of King Louis, is Christopher Walken in this movie, and this is what a giant orangutan would sound like if he sounded like Christopher Walken, if he talked like Christopher Walken. So, that's not my key gripe, but my key gripe is related to King Louis, because King Louis is impressive. Like, the whole scene, it's fun, it's, kind of cryptic and dark. And you have Christopher Walken. Can never go wrong there. Well, you can, but in this case, I wouldn't say they did. But where they did go wrong was, and it happened earlier in the movie too, but this is where I think it really highlighted it. So the original Jungle Book had some great music to it. I absolutely love the music of the Jungle Book. You have the, I Want to Be Like You. You have the Bare Necessities. You have at least those two. Those are good songs though. But I mean, they're fun. They're, chipper, and they fit the, kind of the timbre of the story. Here, when King Louis, meets Mowgli and, tells him what he wants, that he wants, man's fire, basically, he starts to sing, I Want to Be Like You, and he does it in his sort of Christopher Walken scat sort of, way, and I was laughing, but I wasn't laughing because it was funny. I was laughing because it was bad. It really was bad. And earlier in the movie, when Baloo and Mowgli are kind of lazy, going down the river, Baloo is kind of singing the Bare Necessities, and they're doing that. But I mean, there it's a little bit forgivable because they're just sitting there, they're having, they're kind of chilling, and they throw that song in there. It doesn't hurt. But when King Louis does it, it's like, did this suddenly become a musical? Because it is so bizarre that it's really bad. Again, I don't have anything against Christopher Walken, but I'm not sure that he is in the same kind of area, the same general region as somebody like Louis Prima, who nailed that song back in the the original version. Here with Christopher Walken, and it didn't fit. And I think with the fact that whole scene just felt kind of tacked on, it didn't work for me. So my key gripe is King Louis trying to sing I Want to Be Like You, and it didn't work. I didn't think it worked at all. So But overall, I mean, it's an entertaining movie. It's fun. A good family type of movie. That's one of those is kind of few and far between anymore, where you have like a good adventure movie that is good for the whole family. So kids can get it. They might get scared at a few parts, but for the most part, the kids are going to enjoy. The animals, just how funny it is. It's adorable. I mean, some of the animals, the CGI is so spot on, and they are adorable. Like the baby wolves. Oh my god, so cute. Um, so visually, great movie. Technically speaking, acting wise, great movie. They made some interesting decisions, some good ones, some bad ones, but either way, interesting decisions. I'd say overall, it's a good remake. I'll probably see it again at some point to kind of, figure out, because I left it feeling a little bit like torn. It's like, did I really like it, or was I a little disappointed, or was it just like, it's a good visual experience, but beyond that, it's the Jungle Book, which, I mean, take it or, love it or hate it. I mean, that's the story. That's the story we're gonna get. And if they had changed it much more, it might not have been as good. But I think what made the movie good was definitely just the technical mastery that they went through. So I would give the Jungle Book 7.5 out of 8, or out of 10. 7.5 out of 10. Sounds pretty good to me. Meaning, very good movie. Not perfect. Definitely needs some, could have used some different directions. Could have used Christopher Walken not trying to sing I Want to Be Like You, but it happens. So that's my review of The Jungle Book. So I will see y'all next time. Bye-bye.